Dear students, today we will be discussing based on yesterday's first build class. In the previous class, we discussed about bacterial diseases and viral diseases. I hope you remember the different bacterial diseases and viral diseases we discussed. Now we will come to fungal disease, fungus, the another microorganisms which create disease is fungal disease. There are fungus which are non-pathogenic also. Some are pathogenic. Let us see which are the pathogenic fungus in our textbook. Okay. One is the disease named ringworm and another is athlete's foot. These are the two diseases we want to learn about or learn related with fungus. I am not going to the detail of different type of fungus. Okay, here there are fungus living in organisms such as yeast and mushrooms are fungus. Some are useful fungus also. Okay, some are pathogenic. Here fungus create disease by producing toxins. Okay, like bacteria, fungus once enter in our body, once it reaches in our body, it create toxin or poison and make disease. This is the way how fungus make disease. You learned about bacteria and virus. Virus destroy the genetic mechanism of host cell and create disease. Bacteria produce toxin. Similarly, fungus also produce toxin or poison and create disease. See the ringworm. Ringworm is a disease caused by fungus. And the pathogen is fungus. Symptom of ringworm. Ringworm മലയാളത്തിൽ വട്ടച്ചൊറി എന്ന് പറയും. Okay. Disease appears as round red blisters on the skin. It appears as round red blisters on the skin. Blister എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കുമിള, ചുമന്ന കുമിളയായിട്ട് കാണും ചെറിയ. Okay. Then round blister ആണ്. It is mode of transmission. How it is transmitted from one person to another is spread through contact with the patient. The person, somebody having this ringworm, it will spread through contact. So you should not use clothes used by others, okay, or towels. You should not share towel, soap, etc. This is the way of transmission. Next is athlete's foot. Athlete's foot, pathogen is fungus, causative organism fungus. Symptom, it is appear as reddish scaly rashes on the sole of the foot. കാലിൻ്റെ അടിയിൽ, സോൾ ഓഫ് ദ ഫുട്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കാലിൻ്റെ അടി, വിരലിൻ്റെ സൈഡിലൊക്കെ, ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ടോസ് ദാറ്റ് കോസ് ഇച്ചിങ്, ചൊറിച്ചിലുണ്ടാവും. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പിയേഴ്സ് ആസ് റെഡിഷ് സ്കെയിലി റാഷസ്, ചെറിയ റാഷ് ഉണ്ടാകും, മുറിവ് പോലെ ഉണ്ടാവും. ഓൺ ദ സോൾ ഓഫ് ദ ഫുട്ട്, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് സീൻ ഓൺ ദ സോൾ ഓഫ് ദ ഫുട്ട്, കാലിൻ്റെ അടിയിലാണ് സോൾ ഓഫ് ദ ഫുട്ട് എന്ന് പറയും. ഓക്കെ, then here the mode of transmission is pathogen enters through the toes when they come in contact with the contaminated water and soil. It is mainly through contaminated water and soil. Here if you are playing or doing work in the soil bare foot, ഒന്നും ചെരുപ്പൊന്നും ഇടാതെ ഇടുകയാണെങ്കിൽ sometimes there is possibility to get athlete's foot, വളങ്കടി എന്ന് മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയും. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എൻ്ററിങ് ത്രൂ കണ്ടാമിനേറ്റഡ് സോയിൽ ആൻഡ് വാട്ടർ. ഓക്കെ, നോട്ട് ത്രൂ ഡയറക്റ്റ് കോണ്ടാക്ട്. ദീസ് ആർ ദ ടു ഡിസീസസ്, ringworm and athlete's foot. See the preventive measures. Here ringworm. To avoid ringworm, keep skin clean and dry. Always, if you after bathing and etc., you should clean your skin and make it dry. Okay, wear loose cotton clothes. Should not share your clothes, hairbrush, comb, etc. Then personal hygiene. Okay, use when if you get any ringworm, use antifungal medicines. Antifungal medicines are available. If you consult a doctor, they will give you antifungal medicine. It is curable. Okay, to avoid, you should not use wet clothes. Then should not share clothes, share combs. No. Okay, so we can prevent this ringworm to an extent. Athlete's foot, preventive measure. Keep your feet clean and dry always. Then by when shoes or sandals that allow feet to breathe, use antifungal medicines. Antifungal medicines can be used for athletes' foot. Always, if you work in soil or water in barefooted, always after work, clean your toes or clean your foot with dry clothes. Okay, always keep your foots dry. Then we can, to an extent, we can avoid athlete's foot. Then let us come to the next disease to discuss is protozoan disease. Protozoa is also an microorganisms, unicellular eukaryote. There are prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Eukaryotes means organisms with having definite nucleus and cell organelle, and it is having a cell membrane. Okay. Another virus, bacteria, etc. are prokaryotes. They don't have particular nucleus or cell membrane. There is no particular cell organelle, or there is no covering for cell organelle. Cell membrane will be absent. Okay. In case of eukaryotes, there will be definite nucleus and cell membrane will be there. Okay. Then we have to study some disease. One of the disease we have to learn regarding protozoa, related with protozoa, is malaria. Let us see the malaria. See the screen. Malaria is a disease. You might have heard about malaria. Name of the protozoa is Plasmodium. Plasmodium is the protozoa which create malaria. Then mode of transmission. It is coming through female Anopheles mosquito. Female Anopheles mosquito is the carrier vector. I explained you earlier the vector. Vector means carrier. Then symptom: high fever with shivering, headache, profuse sweating, vomiting, diarrhea, anemia. High fever, നല്ല വിറയലോടുകൂടി പനി ഉണ്ടാവും, തലവേദന ഉണ്ടാകുക, പ്രൊഫ്യൂസ് സ്വെറ്റിംഗ്, വല്ലാതെ വേർക്കും, ദെൻ വോമിറ്റിംഗ്, ഛർദി ഉണ്ടാകുക, വയറിളക്കം ഉണ്ടാവും, ഡയറിയ, അനീമിയ, വിളർച്ച ഉണ്ടാവും. ദിസ് ആർ ദ മെയിൻ സിംറ്റംസ് ഓഫ് ദിസ് malaria. Okay. See the, now we'll see the preventive measures. Preventive measures: avoid growth of mosquito by keeping the surrounding clean. Use mosquito nets and mosquito repellents to avoid the breeding of mosquito. Stop the breeding of mosquito and use mosquito nets and mosquito repellents to avoid mosquito bite. Only through mosquito bite we get malaria. Okay. Then once you get malaria, there will be treatment in the hospitals. Taking malaria, treatment is there, antibiotics are there to control malaria. Here there is a illustration. See that pathogen, vector, host. Okay, Plasmodium is the protozoa causing malaria. It is through female Anopheles mosquito reach man. Okay, this is all about protozoa. One of the protozoa only we want to learn. Next we will come to another disease related with worm. It is a worm disease. Okay, filariasis, mandurogam or elephantiasis എന്നും കൂടി പറയും. Filariasis is spread through Culex mosquito. In previous case we saw that the malaria is causing or transmitting through Anopheles mosquito. Here it is Culex mosquito. The organism is filarial worm. Filarial worm is the one causing filariasis. Then the transmission is through, I told you, it is through Culex mosquito, through the bite of Culex mosquito. Let us see the symptom. Disease I told you, filariasis. Pathogen is filarial worm. Vector is Culex mosquito. Symptoms: the adult worm lives only in the lymph duct. It is living in the lymph duct. Once it enters in our body, it lives in the lymph duct of our body. We learned about lymph last year. Okay. Then the flow of lymph is obstructed. Obstruction of flow of lymph will be there. Then it leads to swelling of affected or there will be swelling in the area because there will be obstruction in the lymph duct. Okay, this is the symptom. There will be swelling in mainly especially in the leg and other areas will be affected. This swelling is due to the obstruction of lymphatic duct. That's one of the main point. Okay, why there is obstruction? Because this worm lives in the lymph duct and there will be obstruction of the flow of lymph and naturally there will be swelling. That swelling will be permanent. That is why there will be swelling in the elephantiasis patients or filariasis patients. This is all about filariasis. Then there are some questions. I will give you the notes. This note as PDF. You can go through that. How does the disease occur? I told you that. Okay. Then the reason for swelling. Then the preventive measure. Avoidance of mosquito bite. This is the main preventive measure to avoid filariasis. Try to avoid mosquito bite by different means. By using repellent, net, etc. you can avoid mosquito bite and control the breeding of mosquito also. This is the only way to control filariasis. There are some questions also given. This note will be given to you as PDF. What are the measures to be taken to prevent the spreading of communicable disease? Generally, communicable diseases. We learned about different type of communicable disease, that is causing by bacteria, virus, fungus, protozoa and some other worms. What are the general measures to be taken to prevent the spreading of communicable disease? Here it mainly polluted surrounding promote the multiplication of pathogens. Then the increase in the number of vector like mosquito, housefly promote the spreading of communicable disease. So we have to prevent the multiplication of pathogen in order to prevent this disease. This is our duty to keep the surrounding clean. Here the measures to control the communicable disease or contagious disease is by making the surrounding neat and clean. Here the surrounding, if the surrounding is neat and clean, the vectors, the multiplication of vectors will be controlled to an extent. Many of the diseases are spreading through vectors like mosquito, housefly, rat, etc. Okay, these are breeding in the unhygienic surrounding. If your surrounding is hygienic or neat and clean, we can control the multiplication of pathogens to an extent. Thus, we can control the communicable diseases. Okay. Then next question given is, what is the significance of dry day in the school and at the home? Okay, dry day means keeping or observing a day to make your surrounding or clean your surrounding. That is all about dry day. Okay, what is the importance? Mosquitoes are the agents that spread many communicable disease. On the dry day, we remove the water in the thrown away toys, used tires, eggshells, flower pots, rooftops, etc., where mosquitoes are likely to lay eggs. And by observing dry day, we can avoid or control the breeding of mosquitoes. These are the ways or where the mosquito breeds. Okay, by keeping dry day, we will remove the stagnant water. Mainly we are removing the stagnant water. Okay, by removing stagnant water, we can control mosquito. By controlling mosquito, we can control different type of disease, especially malaria, filariasis, dengue fever, chikungunya, etc. can be controlled by controlling mosquito. Okay. Then some more points are given that you can go through the PDF note given. Okay. Then we have to study about some non-pathogenic diseases. Okay. We discussed about pathogenic disease. Pathogenic disease means disease which are caused by microorganisms or other worms. We learned bacteria, virus, fungus, then one protozoa, then filarial worm causing disease. This is filariasis. Let us see non-pathogenic. The non-pathogenic diseases. Mainly we get non-pathogenic diseases by lifestyle, genetic, occupational and deficiency of nutrients. These are the ways by which mainly we get non-pathogenic disease. Some are genetic disease, genetic through or hereditary disease. We get hereditarily through our genes. We get some disease. We will discuss it. Then some diseases are lifestyle disease. Lifestyle disease means we no exercise, overeating, etc. creates lifestyle disease. Deficiency of nutrient. If there is a lack of nutrient in the food which we are eating, it may leads to diseases. Example, anemia is caused to deficiency of iron. If there is deficiency of iron in the body, it causes anemia. Okay. Here previous chapter we learned about goiter. Goiter is a deficiency disease caused by lack of iodine. Okay. Then occupational disease. There are some diseases related with some occupation. The person who are working in quarries, they will be exposed to dust. It may leads to lung diseases. These are the main things. We will discuss one by one. Here first of all, we will discuss about genetic disease. Genetic disease, we have to learn about two genetic disease mainly. One is hemophilia and second is sickle cell anemia. Okay, already there was a video in the first level class. You have to observe that video again. We will discuss in brief. See the hemophilia. What is the reason? Hemophilia is a condition in which excessive bleeding occurs when even from small wounds. This is the condition of hemophilia. അതായത് ചെറിയ മുറിവിൽ നിന്ന് പോലും ബ്ലഡ് നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു പോവുക. There won't be clotting. Normally, if you have a wound, small wound or big wound, there will be clotting will be there. Because of blood clotting, we are not losing the blood. In hemophilia patients, the blood will not clot properly. This is the condition. Let us see why. Why what are the cause of hemophilia? The cause of hemophilia in the കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് നോക്കാം. The synthesis of protein fails when genes that control protein synthesis become defective. Hence, excess blood is lost even through minor wounds. This condition is hemophilia. See the cause again. The synthesis of protein fails when the genes that control protein synthesis become defective. There are some genes in our body that is controlling or making protein or synthesizing protein which are responsible for blood clotting. That genes will be defective. That is why it is called a genetic disease. There are genes behind every function. Every function of the body there are some genes. The genes which are controlling the protein which are responsible for blood clotting will be defective. This is the reason for, or this is the cause of hemophilia. Okay, when there is no protein for blood clotting and when there is a wound, there won't be clotting. Okay, the patient will lose blood. This is the condition of hemophilia. Then the treatment. Treatment is there. Once a patient or a hemophilic patient having bleeding, there will be medicine given to clot the blood. Injection will be given to clot the blood. There is no preventive measure, or it is not treatable. It is not curable. Why? Because it is a genetic disease. There are some more questions that you can go through the PDF given. Okay, I told you the cause. Reason is defect of genes responsible for the synthesis of protein related to blood clotting. Then see the sickle cell anemia. What is the cause of sickle cell anemia? Here the defect in the genes may cause deformity in the sequencing of amino acid which are the building block of hemoglobin. Here it is different from hemophilia. Genes can cause deformity in the sequencing of amino acid which are the building block of hemoglobin. Here the defect in the genes, which gene is see the genes which is defective. Here hemoglobin is made up of amino acid. There is defect in the sequencing of amino acid which are the building block of hemoglobin. That means hemoglobin will be defective. Hemoglobin, you learned about hemoglobin earlier. Hemoglobin is the one carrying oxygen. It is in the blood. Okay, in the RBC. In red blood cell there is hemoglobin. Here it is spherical in shape, red in color. Okay, blood is red in color because of hemoglobin. Here in this case, in sickle cell anemia patient, there will be deformity or there will be defect in the hemoglobin. It is due to the deformity in the sequencing of amino acid. There are genes for the sequencing of amino acid. That genes will be defective in sickle cell anemia patient. And what is the problem related to that? Due to that, this structure of hemoglobin changes. Due to the defect in the sequencing of amino acid in hemoglobin, the structure of hemoglobin changes. The spherical shape changed to sickle shaped. See the shape difference in shape. Then resulting, or what is the problem by changing the shape or changing the structure? This reduces oxygen carrying capacity of the hemoglobin. The main role of hemoglobin is carrying oxygen from lungs. This capacity will be reduced. Okay, it is reducing. It is not becoming nil. If it is becoming nil, the patient will die immediately. It reduces. Oxygen carrying capacity reduces due to the structure difference. The structure difference is due to the deformity in the sequencing of amino acid. Relate it and study. You can see the figure here. Here this is the hemoglobin, then the shape changes to sickle shape. That is why sickle cell anemia, bend like a sickle. Sickle no അരിവാൾ. Okay, and thus it reduces the oxygen carrying capacity. Once oxygen carrying capacity is reduced, the patient will be weak. Okay, see the question, why do hemophilia patient lose blood excessively? Even it is hemophilia. Okay, then see the anemia. Why sickle cell anemia called so? See the question. This you can go through the PDF. Okay, these are the related questions. Compare. You make a question comparison table, difference between sickle cell anemia and hemophilia. Okay, these are the points discussed in the first year class. Go through the text, and if you have any doubt, you can call me or WhatsApp me. Okay, and there will be a Google form test also that I will send you in the group. Okay, go through that, and if you have any doubt, ask me.